Dang it. I think you can hear me now. I'm going to have to start this over now as a result of my mishap. We're going to say hello to Alfonso. Thank you, Alfonso, for showing up. And thank you, Lynn. I appreciate you being here. And Crystal, I was talking to you, Crystal. The fact of the matter is, it has taken me a while until yesterday to realize that Lagringa is not your last name. It is the name of your van. I'm a little slow to the punch occasionally, and that was one of the times. But I got it now. Hello, Victoria. How are you? I hope you're having a great evening. Thank you for saying hi to everybody. And we got Roy and Becky, or Roy in the house. Thank you, Roy, for showing up. Glad you're here. Or Becky, if it's you, but I'm thinking it's Roy. Little more hellos. No, so is there sound now? Please tell me there's sound. I don't want to have to say this a third time. Pretty sure I fixed the problem. Me. It happens. Okay.
There's sound now?
There's sound now. And there's my youngest sister, otherwise known as my little sister, Priscilla. You know, Roy, my brain's going. That's the problem. It's not your hearing. It's my brain. And we have camp goer 1 in the house. Thank you, Linda. Glad you're here. How hot is it in Phoenix? I'm banking it's like 120 because truthfully, my son said it's 600 in Phoenix. Truthfully, it is insanely hot here for our area. It was 101 or 102 that it got to today. It's down to about 99 now. And we're going for, I'll show you here in a minute, we're going for way too hot. And we are living on window ACs until we're going to be getting our AC replaced here shortly. But you know how those places work. It may not be as shortly as we would like it to be. Okay. Well, Crystal, oh boy, my son-in-law's.
Make a grab. See, this is what happens when you get me involved. This is what happens.
Okay. It was just a little mishap with the lighting. It's all right. Yep, that should have been put out of the way. I think it's okay, Alexander. Margie, welcome, welcome. So how hot is it in your guys' neck of the woods? How's everybody doing? Do you have some cooling off options? Because, see, I'm not wearing makeup today because a couple reasons, but one is it would have sweated right off of me.
Because my face will resemble a ghoul's mask. Oh, sorry. We were saying that if you wore makeup, it would just like kind of melt off like a death mask, like a kind of like ghoulish Ranguignol theater kind of French theater of 1919 mask.
I'm telling you, my son-in-law should have been in theater. I genuinely mean that. I believe he should have been an actor. He's got a stage presence.
Well, I have the face for radio anyway.
Well, he says he has a stage face for radio. He's one of these people. He grew up in New York City, and his family took him to Broadway shows when he was a little child, from childhood on up. I mean, so I think it just probably comes naturally. There is sound. Well, thank you. I'm glad there's sound. And now I'm getting down to Kaylee. I made it this time. Thank you. And I'm glad you're here, Kaylee. If you don't feel like being here, you just check out. Okay. A good idea. More than one person. All right. So glad everybody's here. And if before we get going, a little housekeeping, if you don't mind giving me a thumbs up tonight, I'd appreciate it. Maybe share it out to your friends and family and your dog and maybe your cat. If your cat likes crazy people. Priscilla's cat likes crazy people. I hope she's doing well too. Better. Lily is here. Lily is in the house. So happy. Oh my God. Well, so we'll get down to that here in just a moment. And we're going to say hello to She Devil Adventures. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here so much. Daily dose of the Bible. Well, thank you, Kenneth. I'm so happy you're here. And I hope you're doing well. I saw that you were going to be getting to the M23. Am I correct about that? And I hope you got a ride from the airport. See, I do pay attention to things. I don't always get to, well, I always give a thumbs up on people. I don't always get to comment, but depending on the insanity. And Nate Dogg Adams is in the house. And Nate Dogg and Victoria have been partnering up in one of those dual live streams. I'm terrified of doing it because, well, I'm not the most techie, if you didn't know that. Okay, well, all right. So I want to make sure I've said hello to everybody. We hit 105 and received about 30 drops of rain. 30. A lot of heavy wind. The washes were flowing, but not from the quartz site, but rain from, whoa. Yeah, 30 drops is not enough. It's not enough. All right, so we'll get the elephant off the table so I can get to the real stuff. I was minding my own business. I wanted to be clear right up front. I was doing nothing wrong. I was laying in my bed last night. Cats don't mind crazy. Yeah. Hopefully they don't mind crazy. So I was laying in my bed last night. I was watching a wonderful show that I like called Dark Winds. It's set on the Navajo reservation back, supposed to be in like the 60s. I love it, as a matter of fact. And the music from last night was rocking. The very first scene for the second season, which just started, came in with music I love. It was I can't think of it, but I'm recommending Dark Winds. It's a little woo-woo-ish with some dark stuff, not like murders, but undercurrent of darkness. But it's an exceptionally well done show. Robert Redford is one of the producers of it, and he don't make crap. So, and we've got Box Van D in the house. Hello, Box Van D. I hope you have stayed cool because I'm fairly sorry. Roy just said 105. So we, I don't think there's anybody else I haven't said hello to. I just making sure. All right. So last night I'm laying in bed, like I said, watching Dark Winds. And all of a sudden, it's excellent, truthfully. It's on AMC. And so I'm laying there in bed watching it. And all of a sudden, I feel my heart start to race, which isn't necessarily uncommon. I used to have a condition that my doctor said I no longer had. Took me off of the medicine to control my heart rate earlier in the year. All tests indicated I no longer had it. 103. Yes. So Lily lives north of me a few hours. And so, yeah, you are a little bit hotter than us, but yeah. So I knew something, but it got really intense just like that. I wasn't thinking of anything negative. I wasn't doing push-ups. I was not doing pull-ups. I wasn't climbing a rope. I was laying in bed. And then I could feel my pulse out the carotid artery going boom, 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 boom. Just that quick, too, by the way. It was a matter of seconds. And so I called in Richard and Brent, Alex and Brent. Alex and Richard. And my heart rate was about 140, and it was escalating. I felt heaviness in my chest. No jokes. I felt heaviness right across here. Like I couldn't scream. I couldn't yell, and I've got a really big voice. I have to kind of manage to pull it down. And I felt petrified. Terror set through me. I felt like I was having a heart attack, probably. There was no pain, which you don't have to have actual like sharp pain, anything. That heaviness, I felt tingling start going up my throat, into my face. It stopped about my nose level. And Brent called 911 immediately. And Richard was trying to comfort me. I immediately picked up the phone to call my little sister. It was very scary, Lynn. Terrifying. Picked up the phone to call my little sister because I really thought I was having a heart attack. Although I've had heart tests recently. I actually, for a fat girl, I'm extremely healthy. I have had all the heart work done. I had that lung test where you have to go sit in that booth and breathe several different types of gases. My lungs are great. I've got good lungs, excellent heart. I no longer have an appendix or this other thing you apparently don't need. They ground it up and pull it out several years ago. And, but everything else other than my spine, okay, my spine is what's destroying my life. But the rest of my body, the things that keep me alive, those are going to keep me alive, I think, a long time. Until I thought last night, I really thought I was going to die. And 140? No. 140, what are you talking about? No, I don't believe you could have 140-degree temperature. It was very scary, Box Fan, or D, it was very scary. And so, especially since my doctor, my cardiologist, I have a cardiologist that's an electrocardiologist, who all they deal with is not the mechanical part of the heart, but they had traced the only problem I had in my heart to my electrical system. Because, we have a mechanical side, we have an electrical side. There may be another side, but it's the two sides I know about. And I did not have anything other than electrical. And then I was told earlier this year I didn't have it. They took me off of the heart medicine that regulated the heart rate to make sure that I didn't have any more of those. Because since I had found out about maybe 8 to 10 years ago, so 8 years ago, something like that, 10 years ago, I've been in an ambulance 3 times with it. And one time, Richard blowing down Beltline Road to take me to the hospital because the first time I ever had one, I thought I was going to die. And I didn't want to scare my dad. And so I didn't want to call an ambulance. So I just had Richard race me to the hospital. By the way, don't do what I do. That's not a smart way to handle if you think you're dying of a heart attack. And so I get to the hospital. And by the way, the EMTs were fantastic. The guy immediately came in and there's my son-in-law. Hello, son-in-law. We're going to have a chat on here someday. Now, the internet may blow up when that happens because he's got a few opinions. And by the way, as much as don't tell him I said this, he can back up a lot of what he says. And he knows some extremely big words that can back those things up. But I don't necessarily agree with him. So, but we are very good friends. So the EMTs came, we're chatting. The second time I had this happen many, many years ago, they thought that my heart rate had gone up to over 200, like 220, 240, something like that. They couldn't get me stabilized to put me in an ambulance. And so they had to restart my heart. How they did that, they were either going to they got me ready to be paddled, and I don't mean the fun kind. I mean, they put the things on and got ready to shock me. And they first tried a drug called adenosine, which restarts your heart with the same thing, except without paddling you with electricity. I will choose that every time. And it worked. They got me stable enough to take me to the hospital. So last night, they got me ready to do that. But somehow, my body self-regulated. And my heart rate started coming down. They strapped me on the gurney and took me into the hospital. And the fellow along the way, the guy was super cool. Because I have a steep driveway like this. I'm not a tiny person, if you hadn't noticed. I am always apologetic to them, honestly. And they always tell me, please don't. do that. But I do. I feel bad. I just told him, I said, I feel bad. You have to manage that gurney with me on it. And it's no problem for them. These people know what they're doing. I'm not their first rodeo. Okay, that's the self-centeredness right there. I'm not their first rodeo. So in the back of that van, hello, Lynn. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're not, overly heat exposed there in Oklahoma. So he told me, he said, this is serious enough that you need to be seen. Because I'm like, well, I self-regulated, so I probably did not need to do this. And he said, no, actually, he goes, you needed to go. He says, I believe this is serious enough that you need to be seen by a doctor and have the blood work done and all that good stuff. So, it's not like I was asking them to, open that door and push me out. I was just saying, if I had only waited a little bit longer, but no, don't. And he just said, don't ever do that with your heart. Don't take that chance, because people die every day who took a chance and it was something other than what they thought. And so I agreed not to do that, to get that thinking out of my head. So I go to the hospital and it's all. So what it comes down to, just to kind of cut the story short so that we can get to the more funner stuff, is that after all of us said and done, they did x-rays on my heart. They did 2 additional EKGs, and then all of the blood work, of course. And there was a few things in the blood work out of whack related to that. But because I'm on a blood thinner already, since I have a history of blood clots from one of my back surgeries, there was problems with, I have had 7 blood clots in my right leg. So I'm a lifer on blood thinners as a result. So I take warfarin. And by the way, last night, I immediately took up 325 milligram aspirin, and they were very grateful I did. That was the right thing to do. Brent got me. Hello, Ron Darrell Adventures. Glad you're here, Ron. And so what he thinks happened is that, first of all, my cardiologist was mistaken. How do I say that to my cardiologist? You were mistaken. I'll say it. You were mistaken. And trust me, I'm trained in advocacy. I know how to advocate, and I don't want to die. And so I will advocate for myself. And I am really glad that my doctor, so what the doctor found is, he's not sure that it's SVT, which is what I had before, what the doctor I'd been diagnosed with long ago, with SVT, supraventricular tachycardia. And then in this last year, told, no, we don't believe now that you have that. And so I trusted him, and I went off of the heart regulating medicine, and here we are 6 to 8, 9 months later, and I'm in the back of an ambulance with very close to the same symptoms, thinking I'm dying. And he thinks it's either that or it is AFib, an uncommon AFib. Now, it would happen that it's uncommon. That is my luck. My family knows. Me and my niece, my little sister's daughter, we're both kind of cut out of that same cloth. We have uncommon things medically. It's just, if the bad's going to happen in a weird way, it's going to be to her, Missy, and me. Because when you look at an EKG, which I got to look at all these EKGs last night, he just kept looking at that thing like it was going to talk to him. And I'm looking at him like, come on now. You can do it. Come on, you can do it. And he said he folded it in half, and he's looking at it folded in half, like this. And he said, now I want to show you something. And he said, you know how you can see this? He goes, that is normal. And he said, but this is AFib. And he said, that's not common. He says, that's not common. And he said, so we need you to go back on a urgent request to see your cardiologist this week. So he gave me the medication to regulate my heart because we were going to try not to have to do that. But about halfway through the hours that I was in there, and of course, nothing like this happens at 2 in the afternoon or 9 in the morning. This was 9 o'clock at night. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and the girl walked me to the bathroom, and very quickly I got nauseated. I got flushed, like I was hot. My whole upper body was hot, and I got a headache again, and I felt, that tingling begin. So they gave me an anti-anxiety medicine and an IV, which, by the way, calmed me down, and gave me some anti-nausea medicine, and then a pill of the metoprolol. So the takeaway from this is, number one, if you think you are having a heart attack, call 911. You might be. Maybe you're just having something else. But I remember sitting with my father in this very house a few years ago, obviously before he passed, one of my older sisters and I. And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and my father had very serious heart problems and a history of heart attacks. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. He will not let us call. Now, she is 10 years older than me, something like that, 8 years older, in that range. We're not young people. But our father was in complete control, and not in a mean way. But we didn't cross him because he was dad and he knew everything. But he was having a heart attack. I'm honest, telling you the truth. But he would not allow us to call 911. This coming from a fireman who had seen everything. He had seen everything. But the reason was, he said, because I don't want to wake him up. And he was sitting there laughing because he knew he had my sister and I, Patricia, under control. Anyways, that's neither really here nor there, but I didn't follow what my dad did. If I'd followed what my dad did, who knows? Although, I love my dad. I talk about my dad all the time. I miss him. But, yeah, call 911, please. If you're ever sketchy about what's going on, it would be better to have a bill if that was necessary than to be, than probably maybe be dead, So anyways, let's see. So Priscilla says, you guys should have called me. I would have called whether dad liked it or not. You know him. You wouldn't have crossed him standing in front of him. And me and Patty are not weak people. We are not weak women. So we didn't want to, he was dad and he was in control. Josh, you had to see Lucretia. It was like Fred Sanford, the old TV. Okay. We have someone on here, if he's still here, who will know that. The big one coming, Elizabeth. Yes. It felt like it. It felt like it. It is no fun. SVT, or whether it's SVT or it's AFib, it is not fun. Yeah, it's no fun. Trust me. They couldn't give me anti-nausea med for a while because all the projectile vomiting would have made Linda Blair jealous. Oh no. Yeah. They gave it to me in an IV. That's why, they gave it. So yeah. Many times too scared, too embarrassed. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that there's reasons that we don't call for help. What happened to my pinky? this pinky, that is what's called a ganglion cyst. And it's one of those kind of cysts that really some people, I will not give an adjective to it, will put on a table and take a very big book and smash it and pop it. My doctor said, do not do that. It's right on a joint and you'll end up having surgery. So I've just let it go. It doesn't really hurt or anything. It's just there. There's Priscilla. No. No, she does not like in any way attention on herself. Let's go up here and see what others are going through. Lucretia, are you on statins? I am on statins. I am on a statin. Oh my God. I can't. Kaylee. So one more dad story. My dad, who was a perfectionist and a control freak, but a calm one, you would never know. He's not like me, where it's like kind of clear I have control issues. My dad he's smart. He was smart and in control. Well, he cut off 3 fingers when I was in like the 7th, 8th, 9th grade, somewhere in there. 3 fingers, these 3 fingers. At work, he was a finish carpenter, a master carpenter. Cut him off. So he picks, and he's a fireman, EMT kind of person. The original EMTs that started decades back in the 70s ago, okay? Scooped him up and put him in his lunch box, I believe, and had the young man working with him, told him that he needed to go to the hospital, and he says, why? He showed him he'd cut off his fingers, and the poor guy almost passed out. And my dad had to drive them to the hospital. The boy couldn't do it. Josh, I joined a gym once, but they got upset when I jumped. Josh, please don't make me have to run to the bathroom. AFib is no fun. My father had it, and one of my sisters has it. And I do know that it's not a fun thing to have. I hope that it's under control for your mom. Doc told me I'd never have heart attack, and my ex said I didn't have. Doc told me I'd never have heart attack. My ex said I didn't have a heart attack. I'm going backwards through here, though, so that's probably why because wait, I could have done the same. Super skinny. No, exactly. Priscilla was extremely, let's just call it skeletal for a long time, most of her life, to be honest. And yeah, she would have, yeah. My dad had to be carried out one time in a sheet when he had a broken hip. It was not a fun thing. All right, so we could all join a gym with a pool and a group discount. Yes. And I have a BFF who would love to do that too. Crystal. Oh, there we go. All right. So that's what I told the EMTs when I broke. Oh, Priscilla, the EMT or a nurse was telling me last night about someone who had come in with their foot facing the wrong direction. And I said, was her name Priscilla? I told her about what happened to you. Okay, so that's what's going on, and it seems like SHTF is, Fordman is in the house. Okay. He is so sweet. Have you ever met someone sweeter? Honestly, and that's just true. I don't think there is on YouTube. Just through a commercial. Oh my God. That's weird, Linda. I'm going to have to check on that. All right. So that's what happened. I'll be following up on it, and I should get in to see somebody at my cardiologist this week. Lily, there's no question in my mind. That young man, he is one very tough young man. Not only is Kenny sweet, he is extremely tough young man. And I give him all props for who he is, and his grandpa for really doing such a beautiful job with you, Kenny. Yeah, I don't blame you. I hate tagging one-on-one with my phone as well. Well, I understand that is the concern for some people. I just, right at this point, I feel for myself, I feel comfortable using my statin. If I ever feel like it's causing me something, then I would do, I'll look into that more, actually. Just, All right. So thank you for hanging out and hearing about all that crud. And there's a lot going on in the world. Obviously everybody knows Maui is on fire, so to speak. And I'm going to share some information. I was looking at this before this afternoon. First of all, I just found this out. Maui had the Big Island, on Sunday had a 4.4 earthquake around 1:30 in the afternoon. Although there was the Tsunami Warning Center reports the earthquake occurred at the summit of Kilauea. There was not a tsunami threat. However, areas had experienced shaking. I don't know if any of you have ever been in an earthquake. I've always, truthfully, I'm being truthful now, and here's the obnoxious side of me. If there's another obnoxious side of me, I've always thought I would like to feel a small earthquake. Now, I'm not wanting to be in like something that's an 8.0 or a 6.9. A 4.4 might be something. I like to experience what it feels like to have that happen. I don't know why, but that and a not a tornado. I'm not willing to go through a tornado, but I would like to see what that feels like. And what's the other thing? I know Kaylee's probably going to put it up there. The other serious weather situation that happens that most normal people have no interest in being a part of. Just to feel that kind of power, what it feels like, it's definitely something that it would be a hurricane. I see it. Hot sauce on the cardio paddles. Yeah. Thank God they could have done it, instead of prepping me for adenosine, Josh, they could have prepped me with little Tabasco. Okay. Redheaded Riding Hood, hello to you. So glad you're here. So you have been in a couple earthquakes. Oh, I bet you have in California, being a resident in California. I mean, I hope you weren't in any of the great big ones, but I have always been curious what it would be like. Your pool sloshed around. Whoa, that would be a pretty bizarre sensation. Never a cyclone, though. Hurricanes, blizzards, and earthquakes. Wow. Oh, yeah, you were San Francisco. I wonder if you must have had the earthquake there. Please keep my dad, aka Papa, on YouTube, your prayers, because they're trying to get him back into therapy at the rehab facility. It's hard to believe that he will have been there a year. That's October. I am so sorry that you guys are going through this. We went through this with my father. The last 3 years of his life, most of it was spent in rehabilitation facility. And originally he hated it, but he knew that it was the best thing for him. And because we couldn't take care of him properly, he was paralyzed. Once he became paralyzed from the waist down, we couldn't take care of him. But it is difficult. It was horribly difficult for everybody concerned. My little sister and I were visiting him probably 3 to 4 days a week. And our older sister, one of our older sisters was there fairly regularly too. You slept through an earthquake when I was, oh, wow. Well, you know, you're little. Absolutely sending prayers, Kenny. When the Bay Bridge collapsed. Now, that would have been terrifying. That would have been a whole other level of terrifying. I can't fathom what it would have been like being in that area. In Virginia, about 10 years ago, around 5. Wow. I've never felt one, and we have them off the Oregon coast fairly regularly. Now, people on the coast feel them occasionally, but I've never felt one. Earthquake, mild for New Jersey, and settling, don't want to experience that again. House was shaking back and forth. I'm glad I'm home with my cats. Yes. All right, so gonna look at, I've been as everybody is, just I feel horrible for the people in Lahaina. Lahaina is a place where my father got to spend some time several years ago. He and one of my older sisters, Patricia, and her husband and their child moved there to build houses. My brother-in-law and his cousin, contractors. My father was the carpenter. He was actually the brains of the whole thing, probably, but seriously, they spent a ton of time in Lahaina, and my sister said they would go swimming there. And I do know my dad talked about going swimming there every night after work. He loved that, and he always did want to go back there, but he never did get to go back there. So AP is one of the resources that I trust news-wise, the Associated Press. And so I usually, if I want to get information about a situation, that's where I go. I do not go to regular news sites any longer. I don't trust any of them. I think they have their own, obviously, everybody has their own agenda. And so I try to stay out of the agenda, and I just look at a situation. So they're talking here about the homelessness in the businesses. It's gone. It's all gone. Right now they're asking that there be no tourists coming there because it said that the 500 hotel rooms will be made available for locals who've been displaced. Additional 500 rooms are set aside for the workers and the FEMA people. Some hotels will carry on with normal business to help preserve jobs, sustain local economy. Although the state's saying that it wants to work with local Airbnbs, to make sure that rental homes can be made available for locals as well. And so they're trying to do everything to take care of that. Apparently, as of today, the death toll has increased to 93. And so while all of us, every state in the West is suffering a tremendous amount of loss right now from these wildfires, I don't think so. When I think of people having to go jump in the ocean and stay there for 8 hours, which is the story that I've read from several people who were in that situation, I can't imagine the terror they had to feel about that. To go jump in the ocean, there was no place to go, and it was that fast. So, yeah, that is something that I think about a lot, and I know that everybody is likely doing the same thing. So I just wanted to talk about that for a moment, and then let's get that going. And then the other thing that I wanted to do, one day at a time, Farmstead, welcome, first time here, and I appreciate it very much. Very much appreciate this, you stopping by. Oh, yeah, there's millions of prayers going up for them. So The other, where'd it go here? Oh, goodness. So here we go. Oregon, which is, for anybody who doesn't know where I'm at, I am in Eugene, Oregon, which is on I-5 corridor, halfway between Washington and California. And we have went through, apparently as of today, Oregon wildfires have burned 51,000 acres. We are getting ready to go through a huge heat wave right where I live, and it's not normal, okay, to have an extended amount of 100-degree days and more. So right now there is about a dozen burning just across Oregon alone. Officials are warning the situation could be exacerbated by this heat wave, and because we're also dropping in our the amount of moisture in the air. And that is not good. Again, that's not normal for us. Like, we could be 100 degrees and 58% humidity, okay? And that's not a fun heat either. Anybody who knows about humidity. Temperatures in the Portland metro area are expected to climb with excessive heat warnings. So please, if you are in these areas, make sure you have enough water. You have an evacuation plan. Even though I would get plenty of warning for many of these major fires, guess what? If Joe Blow 3 blocks away accidentally starts a fire, or there is a combustible fire that happens, which, by the way, can happen, then I have to evacuate. I'm lucky. I know every way out of this neighborhood that there possibly is. I can't be on foot, so I have to get some warning. Otherwise, I'm screwed, and I will get caught in a fire. But just know your own evacuation. I know if I have to go to the north or if I have to go to the south, and I also know that I can go to the west and the east. I know these roads. Know that you know what your plan would be. My little sister lives, as a crow flies, from me, about 8 miles northwest. And her and her husband were out driving, and as luck would have it, there was a fire in a hayfield. Not too far in theory from where she lives, really. And that would be, I would be scared to come across that. I wouldn't probably be frozen in fear, but I would be afraid. So we're exceeding well over 100 degrees. Overnight temperatures are not expected to offer a lot of relief. So, like I just recommended, and that I think everybody understands, know your evacuation. Make sure you have water. If you can deal with ice, you have a place to put ice, have ice. Currently 25 active wildfires in Oregon, which have burned 50,000 acres and injured 33 people. To my knowledge, we don't have any deaths. Thank you, God, for that. Of the active blazes, 2 have reached more than 50% containment. Extreme heat can increase the risk of brush fires, according to National Oceanic Atmosphere Administration. And so we don't want to see that happen. And the last week, I did a live stream. It didn't last for very long, and we were going to drop our son off to help evacuate horses. As it turned out, we didn't have to do that. They had already gotten the horses in, and the fire. So my nephew lives up just northeast of us a few miles, like 15 miles as a crow flies, really. Boom. If you're a bird in the air, you can get from my house to his house very fast. And his friend was at her horse stables about 8 miles from his house to the north. And she was standing there, and they saw some smoke. Her and another woman saw smoke in this field right next to where their horses are. And all of a sudden, it went from smoke to bursting into flames. That was just from heat-related combustion of the right materials. And so they evacuated their horses, and then, they called in 911, evacuated their horses. And so my nephew lives on the same hill, so to speak, except 8 miles away. They were able to get a containment line around it within a matter of days, but they really thought it was going to come much faster. It appeared that it was. And so the horses, they have My nephew cares for 8 horses. And him and his wife, and also there's 4 little children that live, 2 that live on the property full time, and 4 other grandchildren they take care of during the day. So we were just going to help in any way we could. I'm not much help, but I could bring the children back here if necessary. And then they were going to take the horses away. They did not have to evacuate those horses, but that's the conditions that this area is in. And so we live right in the big middle of it here in the Willamette Valley. You saw this, yeah, she saw the smoke from her house. And that is definitely, she's not the right person to have a wildfire break out near her home. Nobody is, but my little sister gets a little bit scared of things. Let's see, what else was I was going to share a little bit, look at the forecast to see what we're up against, because this is just, so we have an excessive heat warning, and of course air quality is bad. Right now there's an overcast haze. It's not severe, but I can smell the slight tinge of smoke in the air. And then red flag warning for the fire issues. So right now it is still 99 degrees, and this is what we're looking at. Tomorrow, 105. Priscilla, are you going to get a pool? 105. Tuesday, 103. Wednesday, 101. Thursday, 95. So you get the picture. Now, for people who live in Arizona and many parts of California, that's not a big deal because you're used to that. But the people around here, it's kind of like when we get half an inch of snow and people are sliding all over the place who were never trained to drive in snow. It is exactly the same situation, but the other end of the pendulum. People are not prepared for that kind of heat here. You know, they're not prepared for freezing snow, not prepared for ice on the road, although ice is not fun anyways, and not prepared for 105-degree heat. We rarely have to ever look at that. My son-in-law reminded me that last year, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, we had 112. We got to like 111 or 112 degrees. Priscilla, do you remember that? It was horrifying. And so, yeah, we're going to be paying close attention. Richard went out to do some work in the garden, and he's taking medicine that heat will affect really pretty drastically. And so he came back. He will get a sunburn. He's having to take an antibiotic. And so he will get sunburned really bad, even though he's got the native kind of brown coloring from his I can't think of what, Sitting Bull's branch of the Native American tribes, South Dakota or North Dakota. And he gets nice and brown. I stay pretty much this level of pale. So we have to be careful with this. And again, please be ready. Be ready for whatever you need to be ready for in your personal situation where you live. I'm just shutting off a few pages here so that I don't know where the feedback's come. Oh, I thought I heard feedback. Weird. I'm out of StreamYard. There we go. That was the problem. For some reason, I pulled up my YouTube. So there you go. He even gets a check every year, a couple times a year from them, from the Native American. I can't think of the name of what it's called, but he gets like 13 cents a year or 2 cents a year, something like that. That's kept in trust for him. I have not heard of rolling blackouts in our area, Priscilla, at all. Have you heard anything about rolling blackouts? And for those of you who are used to rolling blackouts, do you want to share with us how to handle that? Well, thank you so much for that. I 108. I really enjoy news information because I think I got that from my father. I know I got that from my father, actually. Who am I kidding? I got it from him. It's his fault. For those who hate the news, 118, 120 is not something you can prepare. No. And so I'm curious, Dee, how does your AC work in that? Okay, so here's what happened. Last November, we had a massive freeze here. Our entire furnace went out. Our whole furnace system went out. Our AC had been out for a year, and we've been using window because we have a heat pump. It's 22 years old. So anyway, Josh got several window ACs. They've been working just fine. And then wintertime rolled around, and the space heaters that we got were because right before Thanksgiving, we had a pretty large freeze situation, and it took out utilities, I think, or was that a different year? But whatever. We had a big freeze. We lost our heat. And so we got some space heaters, and they work great, actually. Work really well because you don't have to have them on all the time. So, but as time went by, there's a point in time that, we may do something with this house. And in order to do that, we really have to have a working heating system. But, we don't have $10,000 to go buy a new heat pump with. And because we are in the lower income bracket of the world, we qualify for assistance in getting a new heat pump. I was shocked. I mean, I didn't believe it at first, but I saw this advertisement on Facebook, and maybe it wasn't. It was either Facebook or it was some other like local news kind of outlet, and I just filled out the application, and sure enough, it was real. And because we have medical conditions and we're in the right income bracket, they are replacing. It's taken us from February, because I didn't apply right away because I thought it was just BS, and because nobody gets anything for free, because I don't believe in free. Even if we do get it without having to put our own money behind that, somebody else pays for that. Okay. And I'm deeply aware of that. I don't take that for granted, nor do I discount that in any way. And so, and I actually don't like doing that when I don't absolutely have to. But if we do something with this house, anybody who's going to get a loan on it, they're going to really require a working heating system. So I applied, we qualified. But it took from February until a couple days ago to get that process moving. From the day I turned in the paperwork until like Tuesday of this week. And I called the agency, and it's called Homes for Good. It's misnamed. And again, I am trained, and I am by work association an advocate. I mean, I know how to advocate for people. I know what to do. I know how to fill out paperwork. I did it for a living. And so I'd never let it slide. I gave them, in essence, months. I mean, really. And then I started calling. I've probably called them 25 times since about 6 months ago or more. And finally, there is one person who would answer the phone, and his name is Hal, and he is a retired man who just is doing these 2 days a week answering the phone for this nonprofit agency. I was always kind to him. I was always kind to all of my messages too, until the last one. And I told him, I said, you are an excellent, excellent example of how someone should be. And there's nobody else in that agency who is like you. sadly. And I'm so sorry you have to deal with this kind of stuff. You shouldn't have to be answering my phone calls so many times, unhappy phone calls. And so I left a message for the woman who came out and approved us, for her supervisor, and then the director of the agency. And my last message was, is there anybody besides Hal who works at this agency? Because I don't think there is. I think Hal's doing the whole damn thing, and that ain't right. I was sarcastic, yes. And I said, if you're not going to approve us, that's fine. But you've said we were approved. What's happening? I don't understand this. I'm extremely confused, and I'm not easily confused. And so the next day I had a phone call stating they blamed it on the heating company that they had sent the referral to. So who knows? Anyways, that guy came right out immediately. Like within 15 minutes of me calling him, he was here 30 minutes later. And so my point of saying that is we will have regular AC back in the house, but right now, woo, it's a little warm in here because the AC in the kitchen is not working. There's too many things on these. I don't want to burn the house down because we short out the house wiring because this is an older house. My father built it when I was 11 years old, I think, 12 years old, something like that. And he did a beautiful job. He's the reason that we don't need a whole lot of heat to keep it warm in regular winters in Oregon, in Eugene. But at 105 degrees, we do need some AC. Anyways, I didn't wear makeup today because I knew, it's going to be, I am sweating. And I'm not, I don't like that. And I didn't want to have it all rolling down my face. Sioux Falls. All right, so let's see what everybody else is talking about before I hang up here. I'm going to go back up a little bit. And again, I appreciate you guys coming by, and I hope you did give a thumbs up. I have not checked, and I'm not going to check. I'm going to just have faith that y'all did and be happy with that. And oh gosh, before we do go, I'm going to put up a banner, please, right here. If there is, let's start off with, could you please put a big C if you're a content creator? Drop it in the chat. And I don't know who else here who might be one of my moderators. If you are a moderator, if you could drop their links. And I don't want to put that all on Kaylee to have to just do. If you're a moderator and you don't mind doing that. So we've got Alfonso, Campervan Kevin. I tell everybody about you guys. I do. I will cry. That is one of the people right there. Everybody knows him. I don't need to say a word about who you are. I just want to say thank you for being exactly who you are. Thank you for your dogs, because I want to someday meet those dogs and smooch them. I want one of those dogs, so but not one of yours. I'm not going to steal your dog. You know what I'm saying? I want to find one like those dogs so bad. They're so cute. And my little patty cake, my beagle, passed away. So anyways, hello. So we've got Kevin is a content creator. Kaylee should be a content creator, and if I ever have anything to do with it, she will be a content creator, but I really can't force her to do it. Alfonso is a content creator. Crystal Lagringa, she is a content creator. That isn't her last name, as it took me months to figure out. It's the name of her van, and I've seen many of her videos. I don't know what's wrong with me. And of course, Box Van D is a content creator. Fordman is a content creator and probably the sweetest young man on YouTube. And he is. Thank you, Miss Kaylee. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, sweetheart. You know it. I adore Kaylee. Redheaded Riding Hood is, of course, a content creator. So is Campgoer One. Linda is a content creator, and she is fabulous. We've got One Day at a Time Farmstead. I believe is also, if I went back up, I would see that for sure. So thank you all for dropping these links for me. I knew you were. I just, in my brain, because my brain just shut down when I saw Kevin on here. And also, here's the thing. I'd like, oh God, there's so many things I'd like to do, but you are appreciated. And I know I'm not the only content creator who appreciates you, guarantee. Kevin appreciates you. Everybody appreciates you because you're a fabulous moderator, Kaylee, and you are a good human being. You're a better human than you are a moderator, if that's possible. James Geip is here. He has a thank you, James, so much. By the way, I have gotten many good friends by going to, just saying, I have gotten many friends from your channel. I haven't been to your channel in a while, but yes, many friends from James's channel. Oops, I got a muscle spasm. It just started in the back of my leg. So, the snow, Kevin, where you live, oh my gosh. There's not many people, except my little sister on here and I, who would love to be in the snow in the winter. When you can be, like in your case, you could go to someplace else in Arizona. But I love the fact that you stayed put and you showed us what it was like. And that, by the way, you can live in the snow. And also, it seemed like in that area of Arizona, the snow kind of melts off during the day to a degree, and you can come and go and do what you need to do. Except, you know, I don't know how close a hospital is, and I needed to be in one last night. So I'm just going to leave with this tonight. So going ahead for myself with our travel eventually here. And by the way, Richard's been working his butt off on the RV. It's doing that roof. There was a lot that needed to be done. The guy who cheated us that did our, you know, he was an actual certified independent contractor, whatever you call it. He didn't know what he was doing, or he just, I don't know what to say. I don't even remember who he was, but Richard had to do a whole lot of work up there. He's got all that prep work done, and he has the first like 2 coats of, he used that white. It's something white or something, gosh, it's to reflect the sun off of the top of the RV. I remembered that much. And that's so. And it will be. I'll figure it out. I'll get my MD and I will figure it out. No, so luckily where I live, we have great doctors. We have a regional medical center. Where the places I want to go to, I'm going to have to do a video about this. And I hate doing videos. I like doing live streams, but I have to do a video about this. So for me to go off, thank you, James. For me to go very far away from society, humanity, which is where I'd like to be, I'm going to have a PLB, personal locator beacon, because I'm not going to be stuck somewhere with what happened to me last night, feeling like I'd had a heart attack and needing help, you know. And I know that a lot of people who go live off grid, or they're traveling, let's say you're just literally doing camping and off grid, there's a lot of people who are not near a hospital, and nor should you have to be. I want that done and over with in my life. I at least want to have it all figured out, everything figured out, fixed, taken care of, blah, 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 so that I can be safe out there. All right, I'm just going to go through, but I'm going to do a video about some ideas I have. I can't handle the snow, the brightness. I would imagine with the blindness that you have, that it is a problem, Alfonso. And I'm so sorry you have to deal with that. Lucretia Henry's. Yep, Victoria. So Victoria is awesome. Again, So she is kind of the equivalent, Sweetnessly, to Kenneth Sweetnessly. So Victoria Sweetness, Kenneth Sweetness. You know what I'm saying? Everybody on here is great. I love the people who I know and I've got to meet and hang out with. I have heard that you have some crappy doctors there, but one of my older sisters lived in Phoenix. Well, she actually lived in Fountain Hills for about 13 years, and she had a couple of major things happen. And she did have some really good doctors she got to go to a really good hospital there in Phoenix. But, you know, Phoenix, Quartzsite, Concho, I don't know how good the hospitals are down in, oh, darn it, the place that Homer and Catherine took us to for lunch, which, Kevin, if you're still here, so Homer and Catherine Cook took us to lunch in Yuma. They said this was your favorite fish place, I believe. And it was fabulous. Oh, yes, sir. It was. All right. So you guys, thank you for showing up, hanging out. I'm so happy. I had said right before this, let me see here. Heard of masa is a type of, oh, no. May I say it covers helicopter medical? No, because here in Oregon, we have a thing called, good night, Priscilla. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You know, I have to tell you just a short, funny story about Priscilla and I. When we were little, I was in high school, and I was junior. I was 4 years ahead of her. So the first year that they started 4-year high schools in Eugene again, she was a freshman and I was a senior. And so I think actually she was still in junior high school, and there's outdoor. That's it. She was still in junior high school. There was outdoor school, and for a week, and I was a high school camp counselor, and we were all riding the bus together to this said camp, and I sucked as a sister to her because she was kind of okay, I always describe her. You see the koala bears that kind of hang on to their mom's leg like this, or little monkeys. Oh God, I love gorillas and monkeys. She's like that. She was like that. That is not how I was. I was trying to get as far away as quick as I could from mom and dad. And so she was a little more sensitive and I was not. And so we were on the bus together, and she was very attached to our mother. And she was in the back crying, almost throwing up. And she wanted me to come back there. And I was like, I don't even know her. I mean, are you out of your mind? I am not going back there. Just pull up the bootstraps. It's a week, Priscilla. It's 5 days, not even a week. You're going to have fun. So another camp counselor took over with her, and she sat back there and rubbed her back and kept her hair out of her face if she had gotten to the point of throwing up. And so I sucked as a sister, but I don't suck today, and I do try to make up for it. She just was, she was different than me. I know. So there's what I know too. Like 2 hours away. It's like driving from Eugene to Portland, except we're on a freeway here. RV Rebel Girl told me about MASA. Okay, well, that is good to know. In Oregon, we have a thing called, oh goodness, I can't think of what it is, but you pay like $199, and that's all you pay. And that includes for medevac. So like, say I went to the coast and I had to be medevaced out. If I had that particular insurance, which I don't need because my insurance that I do have covers it. Unfortunately, my insurance is a state-ran insurance. And so I don't get the perks in any way when I leave Oregon, and that includes medication, if you want to call medication a perk. But I'm going to work on that. I'm going to help I'm going to get to meet you in person one day. Oh, absolutely, Kenny. 100%. To know that I have missed the Southern Oregon meetup 3 years in a row, you can't even imagine how embarrassed, first of all, how embarrassed I am that there's been one problem after another, but it will happen. All right, Crystal. So glad you came by, and I will be. I'm now clear about your car is La Gringa. All right, so you guys, I will look into that just out of curiosity, and I'm going to go now retire to my bedroom where there is a wonderful AC that has it down at 64 degrees. And pray to God, the people putting in our new system can get all of that stuff quickly. And Red has a couple of every week. She has some about one-ish, I think it is, Pacific time. I think it is. I could be wrong, Red, but just go check out each other's sites, websites, channels, and say hi. And I will be back again, no doubt. And stay safe, stay healthy. And again, I say this every time. I mean it. It's not trite. Figure out what your passion is. Nobody else is going to do it for you, and you deserve to have that happen, whatever that is.